I don't think it's really changed me at all, to be honest with you. Being NXT champion, I don't think is, it's something I definitely wanted, and it's something I worked hard to, attain. But I'm pretty much the same person with the championship or without. It's just, to me, it's a big feather in my cap that it was something I set out to do, and I was able to do it. But it doesn't really change who I am or how I act. My finishing move is called the haluva kick. It's basically, I park myself in one corner of the ring and I have an opponent prone on the opposite corner. And when I see that my time is right, I charge from across the ring and kick him in the face. Yep. I mean, you have to wrestle Steve Austin, right? Like Stone Cold Steve Austin was the man. And I actually hated him at the time because I was such a Bret Hart fan. I was such a little like it just really got to me. And he had such a personal rivalry with Bret that it took me years to forgive him. I'm pathetic. I acknowledge this. It took me years to forgive him, like probably 5 years. Like I only started to appreciate him in maybe 2001. 5 years after he was feuding with Bret Hart. That's what a fanboy I was, So
he'd be number one?
Yeah, he was just awesome. Shawn Michaels, before his injury, I think one of the best wrestlers of all time. I think it's pretty unanimous there. And The Rock would be cool, just because he's, The Rock, and he was super over, and people loved him, and he's really popular. People really liked him. It'd be fun to be in the ring just with that kind of atmosphere and electricity surrounding the match. I mean, even if they had no idea who I was, if I'm kicking The Rock, they're gonna care, Well, NXT Evolution was a very big night for me, and part of the reason it was so big for me was because Kevin Owens, who was a longtime friend of mine, longtime friend, foe, just everything you can possibly be with someone, we've had that relationship for the last 12 years. It's our careers have been linked like this, yes. Like you couldn't say my name without his, and vice versa. So it was such a big night for me because not only was I, had this big match with my career on the line and the championship on the line and everything against Adrian Neville, who's also one of my best friends and best opponents, but it was the night that NXT, Kevin Owens was finally debuting in NXT. So I felt like it was my debut in a weird way too. Like I watched his match from the back and I was welling up with tears. I was so proud, and so I maybe should have seen it coming, but I just didn't. And it hurt, obviously. It caused some damage. And I was off TV for a few weeks, but here we are. The live special is just around the corner, February 11th.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
If we're up to Sami, yeah, sure, whenever, yeah. Well, I would defend this first, and maybe when I lost it. If I lost it, I'd go. I don't know. If I had to guess, I'd say somewhere between 6 months and a year. I don't know. To me, it's an inevitability that I'll end up there. It's just a matter of when. So instead of stressing about, when, and not enjoying the ride, I'm the NXT champion now. That's a pretty big deal. And so I want to enjoy that, you know what I mean? While I'm here and while I have it, and while NXT is growing as a brand, seemingly by the day, it's just getting bigger and bigger and getting more and more of a cult following within the WWE universe. Like within such a wide global fan base, there's this undercurrent of people going wait, are you watching this, NXT here? Because no one's really talking about it, but it's getting really good. So it's sort of bubbling underneath the surface, and that's something I'm kind of comfortable with, just based on my career, my background on the independents. It's sort of underground, and that speaks to me as a person, that sort of underground following. So it's something I'm happy to be a part of, and I'll be sad when that chapter of my career is done, but I'll be happy because the new chapter, on Raw and Smackdown and all these major pay-per-views will have begun. So it's win-win for me. It can't just be a dream. It has to be a goal, because dreams are just dreams unless you put the work in. And that sacrifice that I'm talking about, that's part of putting the work in. So you know the difference between a dream and a goal. And if it's something you really want, make it your goal. Oh my God, that's a tough one. What I'll do, because it's so subjective and so personal, is I'll just tell you 5 people that influenced me. Okay, when I was this is kind of why I'm a wrestler. These 5 people, I've narrowed it down. From a very young age, it was Hulk Hogan. That's kind of what introduced me to wrestling. You know, I think a lot of people's introduction to wrestling, people from my age group, was Hulk Hogan. So that, you know, Hogan and the spectacle that he kind of embodied, and the just grand, you know, spectacle and theatrics of Hulk Hogan, I think first drew me to wrestling, and that's where I knew I'm in love with this, and I probably want to do this, you know. But when you're 5, you don't really realize, like, this will be my career. You don't know anything, but you know you like it. So I knew I liked it. And then as I got a little bit older, Bret Hart became like my hero, totally my hero. And you know, right up until my sort of teenage years, Mick Foley became a huge influence on me, because he was so unorthodox, and you know, he was so willing to like his style was so sacrificial, right? Like he would really give every fiber of his being. Yeah, you could tell that there was that passion that drove him, and that like spoke to me. And then I guess right before I started getting trained, what really took over for me was the Hardy Boys. Because again, these were guys that were, you know, not enormous, very unorthodox looking, that seemed like a realistic goal. And they were guys that like wrestled in their backyard, just like me and my friends. And like they had this lofty goal, and then all of a sudden they showed up and, you know, doing all these acrobatic things that like, you know, they just really, it resonated with me. And I think those are the 5 biggest influences I had. I don't think they're necessarily the 5 best wrestlers of all time, although you could make a case that, you know, a few of them definitely are. But, you know, there's guys like Shawn Michaels or Eddie Guerrero or Steve Austin that I think belong on that like best wrestlers of all time list. But these are just the 5 people that probably influenced me most into getting to where I am right now. This is WWE NXT Champion Sami Zayn, and you're watching GNTV.